It's John Bowden from Rock History Music. What would you do? Well, this classic rocker said no to Elvis. I remember in the 80s, there were a whole bunch of us DJs sitting down around the table from different radio stations. And the scenario came up that if you were at a party in LA and let's say Jack Nicholson came up to you and said, "Hey, do you want to try this stuff?" What would you do? If you didn't party that way, would you take the stuff because it was Jack Nicholson? It's an interesting scenario. What do you do with your heroes or maybe fallen heroes? In this clip, we talk to Ian Anderson, the famous frontman for Jethro Tull. And in an incident he had, even though he gets the dates wrong, you can't expect our rock star heroes to remember everything, but he does remember saying no to Elvis.
I didn't know Elvis towards the end of his life. I didn't know Elvis at all, but we once went to see him in 1969 when he made his first big debut in Las Vegas, doing when it was the white jumpsuit era, and we were new boys in town. We went to Las Vegas, and somebody, perhaps one of the promoters that we were working with, said, "Oh, hey, you guys want to go and see Elvis?" And we had a night off, and for no particular reason, I suppose I said, "Yeah, all right." The other guys were more curious than I was. I was never really an Elvis Presley fan. I remember hearing Heartbreak Hotel. I thought that was quite good when I was 9 years old, but I wouldn't have ever called myself an Elvis fan, particularly after the first two or three pieces of music he released. I didn't like what happened next, and certainly not his movie time or indeed his Las Vegas period. But we went to see him, and at the end of, it was for me a very sad experience, because it was quite obvious that Elvis was not, I was going to say not himself. Perhaps he was himself by that time, but he was quite clearly either very drunk or very high on drugs, or perhaps a combination of both. But whatever it was, he was teetering on the edge of being incomprehensible and forgetting words and forgetting where he was. And the band obviously were well used to it and managed to cover for him a lot of the time. But it was pretty poor. And at the end, some minion came to where we were sitting and said, "Elvis will see you in his dressing room now." And I said, "Well, that's very kind, but you know what? I think we're all a bit jet lagged, and I think we won't bother Mr. Presley right now. We'll just quietly slip away and go back to our hotel." He said, "No, Elvis will see you in his dressing room now." And I said, "Well, I don't think actually that's going to work, because I'm just to try to explain. I'm very tired. I really would, tell him, tell him we loved the show. It was great and very nice to be invited back, but no, thank you." And the guy just said, and I could almost imagine him, putting his hand on his hip where he probably had a concealed sidearm, saying, "You're not hearing me." He said, "Elvis will see you in his dressing room now." To which I kind of felt, well, I'm going to make myself equally clear. And I said, "No, Elvis will not see me in his dressing room right now, but thank you, I have to go." And
you went?
No, we left the building. Elvis stayed in the building. We left the building. No, I think the other guys were a bit disappointed, because they probably did want to go and see Elvis just to say, "Oh, we met Elvis." But I didn't want to meet I didn't want to meet that Elvis. Yeah. I would have liked to have met the Elvis who did Hound Dog or Jailhouse Rock, or the Elvis who kicked off performing rock and roll in such an amazing way, which he did. That was the Elvis I would have wanted to meet, not some guy who was by then seriously overweight, seriously out of his brain on chemicals, and really performing in such a haphazard way that it wasn't the way I wanted to meet Elvis. No, I'm sorry, but no.
Is there an end date to Jethro Tull, or you don't even think that way?
I have to think that way on many occasions, because at the age of 72, I'd be foolish to be planning 10 years ahead. I tend to think 2 years ahead. So, we have a lot of shows already in, about 60 odd shows already in for 2020. And, that'll probably end up being about 75 concerts through the year, which is about the same as this year and last year. Typically over the years, I suppose we average about that. But I can be reasonably confident about 2020 and 21, but I don't think I'd be wanting to commit to anything. I mean, somebody asked me to commit to something in 2021, and I just had to say, look, it's a little bit early to be asking me that. Ask me again next year, because I have no idea what my fitness level will be, and or even whether I might want to do that particular thing that I was being offered, which was not. It was a bit out of my comfort zone anyway, so I have other reasons to perhaps put it on the back burner for a while.
Remember, subscribe to our channel, share our videos, like them, and if you want to contribute to the channel, there are links in the description right on top where you can join our Patreon, get early access to our videos, or you can simply make a donation. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care.